Hello, thank you everybody for coming out. I'll introduce myself. I wanted to do something in person instead of Zoom because I think we're back there. We all agree that the pandemic, we're all done with that, but Zoom has its purpose. But since we were all going to be here and tried to do a little time trial, figured that we'd try to do something in person. We are videoing it. So we will also put it on our website, so that's why I don't have a slideshow or anything like that. I just want you guys to kind of listen. And then if you miss anything or there's anything in the future, it's going to be on our website for knowledge for you guys, okay? One person I do want to introduce, because she is on our staff. She's new to our staff. She's not a coach, but I know some people get confused, is Melissa Thompson. So this is Melissa Thompson. Yeah. So the team this year was able to hire an admin person, so she does all the non-coaching stuff for us, and it's been a huge help with the team our size to have this addition. So, and Kate Russo is standing here. She is the VP of District Operations. She oversees the team, and thank you, Kate, because Kate was a big part of being able to get that position brought on board. So a little bit about myself. I won't take too long because I know everybody, it's a Sunday and you want to get home. But I'm Mary Corey, so I am the Director of Competitive Aquatics and the head coach for the team. I stepped in 16 months ago in an interim position. It started, and then I came on board for the last season in September. So thank you. Thank you, Jeff. So I have been coaching. I was a coach on the Shy side, just for people. Most people here probably know that our team is a combination of two teams. It's Somerset Hills YMCA and Somerset Valley. I do have to remember that we have new people to our team that only know GSCY. So our team is made up of two legacy teams. And I am from the north side. This is considered the south side. Which I think is hysterical because I feel like I'm back in the Civil War or something. But but due to locations, it just means that we're more north than this facility. I'm from the Shy side. I started out as an 8 and under coach and then gradually stayed in the 12 and under world for a majority of my time until they needed help with the senior world. And then I went up there and I've kind of stayed in that world for the most part. I still get on the pool deck with the 8 and unders because they are my love. That is where my passion is. My passion is with developmental swimming and the little guys and getting them started in this sport. So I did run a swim school previous to this, and a lot of my swimmers have come out of the swim program that I ran and are in our program now. So that's on a nutshell about me. I don't think there's anything else. We had the meet and greet, so hopefully a lot of you got to meet the coaches that our team makes up. We are a rather large team. We have a lot of groups. So we have it split up as 13 and overs and 12 and under, so hopefully you guys got to meet that. So we're going to just first go over, and I'm going to read this because there's no reason. Our mission, I just want to read what we put together as our mission when we came together as GSCY, to support the Greater Somerset County YMCA while inspiring and empowering our athletes to achieve excellence, both in the sport and of swimming and in life. How do we accomplish this? By building trust with both families and swimmers, staying technique-driven for all ages, age-appropriate developmental path, hiring and maintaining the best coaching staff, and creating an environment where everyone wants to be involved. So that is our mission, and what I love about this mission statement that I was kind of involved with is that anybody that does know me, I'm a big advocate of using this program and my coaching to teach your children life skills, because this will stop. Hopefully they will do it for exercise later on in their life, but eventually this will come to an end and they're going to be going into the job force and being expected to be leaders. And we're hoping that we're giving them that. So it's a little bit bigger than swimming as a whole. It's about providing your children with resources that are going to help them later on in life. So that's a big mission for us. Staying technique driven. I will get into swimming stuff too. I am a developmental coach. I love developmental work. I still do it with the top athletes in our program. So we are a developmental driven program. So what does that mean? That means that technique is what we're going to work on first, and that we're going to, along with the developmental path, we're going to ensure that our swimmers are on a gradual upward motion. So I'm never going to run a program where we're going to beat them into the ground. I don't need people to make Olympics under me. I don't need any of that. What I do need is I want them to stay in the sport as long as they can. If that means at 18, that's fine. If that means going through college and swimming in college, then great. We will get you there. I think it's a great example of our program. We have, some people may know, we've been in the news quite a bit this summer because of the Worlds meets that are going on, because we're heading into Paris. So the big meet heading into Paris is Worlds. So we've put 2 alumni on the world team. Matt Fallon and Jack Alexi were both started at Shy and SVY. And then we had Anna Mosh, who still swims for us, who went to World Juniors. So that's the development path we want, right? They didn't need, Jack and Matt were really fast and really good here, but like now they're in college, they're getting that next developmental path, and they're just taking off. So we want to make sure that we're keeping that path for everybody. How do we do that? We hire and maintain coaching staffs that are great at what they do. The one thing I always say about our team that you can't find at other places is our coaching depth from 8 and under to 15 and over is very deep. Like, you're not walking on a pool deck and not getting a coach that knows what they're doing. So it doesn't matter what level you are going to get a coach that's either done this for 20 years or even if they haven't done it for 20 years, they have a wealth of knowledge in our industry. So I think that's where we stand out from other clubs. So that's our mission. Let's go over our team philosophy. So I have a mentor that was a coach at Shy one time, and his philosophy was always no tears on the pool deck. And I've kind of kept the same thing. If this isn't fun, and USA Swimming has done a ton of data on this, kids leave our sport because they're not having fun. Okay, so having fun is really important. You can get work done and still have fun. So making sure that we're having fun and that we're focused, and no tears on the pool deck if we can help that. The mechanics, of course, are technique. I can't drill that home. Our philosophy is about creating a healthy, competitive environment. And hopefully they go on and they swim in college, or they keep swimming on after 18 years old. I have a lot of kids that didn't think they were going to swim in college, and they're juniors now in college, and they're swimming on club teams for their colleges. So that's what I want. That's what I want them to do, is carry that on. Team expectations. So this is where we're going to get a little bit into the meat. I'm not going to get into details. I'm just going to give this a broad of what our expectations are, and then we can get into more detail later. Attendance. So everybody should have had the handbook. We all signed the handbook. I know people are going to say, I didn't read the handbook. I understand that. But you should be reading the handbook, because that is where all our policies and procedures reside. It's the same thing. I can't go on the pool deck, and when something happens and we get a DQ for whatever reason, I can't look at the official and say, oh, I didn't read the handbook. Because I can guarantee you the official's going to kick me out of the room. So we just got to make sure that we're knowing what we're doing. I'm just going to touch on a few things that are really, really important. Attendance is one of them for both development and injury prevention. So we are coming out of a pandemic. I would say we were 90% last year. We are 100% back and running like we always have been, with dual meets being added to our schedule this year. We are a competitive team. I can't say that enough. What comes with competitive sports is a responsibility, okay? So even though we can make this fun, we can make this developmental path, but I am here as a competitive, not a rec program coach. So I just want to get that cleared, and that's why you hear a lot of us talking about attendance. These 3 trophies, so I took over 16 months ago, and since I took over, we have been able to win 3 national titles. So this work is done not just from one group. This work is done from the entire team, from the 8 and unders up. That's how we get trophies like this, and then add a coaching staff that is devoted and that wants to be here and wants to develop your kids. That's how this comes about. And these are not easy to get. Nobody in New Jersey has ever done it. We're the only team that has ever done that. So that's a huge accomplishment. Yes. But with that comes responsibility, right? So attendance is a huge one. Majority of our team cannot drive themselves to the pool. They depend on parents. So parents, if this matters to your child, all I ask is show them by getting them to the pool deck and to meet on time. Okay? Attendance is important. They're going to prevent injury. It does a lot of things. It also builds character. They're not going to be able to go to their job and hold a job down if they're constantly late or if they're constantly going in and saying, I have traffic. I understand we all have been in a lot of staying at home work, but reality is businesses are calling their people back into work, and they are expecting their employees to show up on time. So it's just, again, another life balance thing. Just have them show up. And then the other thing is the coaches aren't yelling at them, because I'm going to be honest with you, the coaches are like, why are you late? Even though we all know the parents have to drop them off, we're like, why are you late? So then it puts a little pressure on some of the kids. So attendance, practice, and performance are related. Sorry, it is the truth. Practice and performance are related. So if you're here and you're practicing with intention, you should see some development. Meets, we're a competitive team again, so we do expect, we got a little lackadaisy with this, we are expecting our swimmers to compete in meets all the way through the championships in February. Okay, so if their goal should be making a championship meet. We are going to expect them to swim in that. Again, that doesn't come with people that don't want to be committed to our program. That comes because we people that want to be committed and want to race and want to compete. Okay, we also were, the state champions. So this is national level. We're also the best in the state. So those come from the kids of all ages. This year, we're going over a few things with policies as far as missed benchmarks and things like that. You will do a tryout. It's a tryout. If you do not make one qualifying time, even for bronze level, then we just are going to do a tryout and see where we need and where we're going. Hopefully, we're having those discussions before we get there. And the kids are speaking with their coaches on where they want to go. Types of meets. We have dual and invitational. I know a lot of my 12 and unders started a sport in a pandemic, so you don't really know how swimming works and how intense it is. There are dual meets. Those are between two teams, the Y teams. Those are for your Y championship close. You need 3 of them to participate in a championship meet, okay? So the dual meets are great families. They're an hour and a half, and they're usually local. So those are 1 day, quick, in and out, and they have every age group. So if you have little kids, it's really important because this is their opportunity to swim with our older kids and really get to learn what our older kids do. Okay, watching Jack, Alexi, and Matt Fallon with 8-year-olds when we used to hold dual meets was hysterical. Jack Alexi is about 6'7". So then you put a little 8 and under, it was just great. And so we really hope that you guys, not hope, we want you to do those. They're easy and quick and you're in and out. Invitationals are between multiple teams. This year, because we went back to dual meets, the other thing is, remember, we're not going to swim meets. That is not how you develop a swimmer, even in the 12 and under world. So we are going to try to balance those invitational meets along with dual meets. Invitationals take a lot more family time. They're usually 2 days or 3-day meets. So those are a lot of time on a family. They're very important part of the swimming. Don't get me wrong, they need to know how to do an invitational, but we're going to try to balance that for the families. Policies and procedures. I'm not going to go over a lot of these, but I am going to highlight a few. They're all in the handbook. The youth supervision policy. Youth is defined as 10 and under for the Greater Somerset County YMCA. What does that mean? If your child is 10 or under, you need to walk them in, drop them off to their program, and pick them up from their program. They should not be in the building in any YMCA unattended. 11, after 11 or older, they can enter and leave the building without you. However, we have a parking problem and we have a pickup problem. And we're having safety issues because this facility and Shy are the two worst. Everybody is coming up and they're either dropping or waiting. The worst is waiting to pick up your child to come out. And we're backing traffic up into the main road and somebody's going to get injured. So we need to make sure that you guys, I mean, I had a daughter that swam. I was a parent. I was not always a coach. We had a meeting spot. I was on the Shy side, so we swam up there. And there's a little area where they used to put up tents during the summer, and that was my meeting spot. And she just knew. She would walk down there, and that's where I was, and that's where I would pick her up if I couldn't go inside. A lot of times I parked the car and I went inside. But once they are 11 and older, they do not need chaperone, but that does not mean that we park and idle. Okay, and that's just for safety, so we just need to get that. Locker rooms, 12 and under, we try to persuade them to go onto the pool deck, more because locker rooms can be a whole nother mess, and we just kind of want to keep them out on the pool deck around us, but they are able to use the locker rooms. They have to use the youth part of the locker room at every other facility than this one. This one, we do not have a youth. It's only one locker room, so they will be in that locker room. So like for here, they can't use the bathrooms. So if your kid comes home and says something about the bathroom, I'll get into that later. It's a safe sport rule. The bathrooms are left for adults, and the locker rooms are left for the kids. Social media and cell phone use, I would just look over that, go over with your kids. We live in a generation where our kids use phones, right? On the plane, coming back from Worlds, I'm in with two of the girls, and Lila goes, Coach Mary, look at this. And she shows me on social media of a TikTok of some of my girls doing a thing. And I was like, that's in the locker room. So, like, it's out there, right? So they're in the locker room, they're doing that. So just remind your kids, just be conscious of your surroundings and making sure that we're really conscious of what's getting in those TikToks because they love to do TikToks. I don't want to squash their TikTok, but we got to be conscious of where it's going. Code of conduct, that's a long one. Go in there. I would like everybody to review that. We already reviewed drop-off and pickups. Safe sport. So, safe sport, USA Swimming and US Gymnastics. We all know the stories over the years have had some issues, right? So they developed this safe sport. Safe sport basically is trying to keep our children safe from those adults maybe or other kids or whatever that might not be a safe environment. So what does that mean? In a nutshell for us, that means adults cannot be in the same room as swimmers. So when you go to a meet, they will usually have restrooms that you guys can use, and then they have locker rooms for the athletes. I know it's 12 and under. I know we want to help them put their suits on. We want to do all that. If that is the case, do it before you leave the house. Okay? We cannot have adults in the same room, a locker room, with these children. Okay? It is for their safety. It is for your safety. I can't go in it either. Okay? The only person that can go in it during a meet is an official if something is brought up to the official's attention that something is going on in the locker room, then an official may enter the locker room to make sure that everything is safe. Okay? But you cannot be in there. This facility, every facility has a youth. This is the only one that does. If you're here and you got to use the bathroom, just use the restroom. Do not go in the locker room with them. The other thing for as you age up into, for my older families, my 13 and over, coaches cannot communicate with your children out, there's a window. I can communicate from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So I am not ignoring your child. Your coaches are not ignoring your child. I just cannot communicate to them. I can only do it between 8 and 8. Okay, so I use a schedule send if the kids, because I can guarantee the kids never remember that. They're texting me, they're emailing me, they're doing whatever, but I schedule send. Okay, text. I just said text. Text and email need to have a parent or a guardian on them. We do not communicate with our athletes if there is not a parent or a guardian on top of them with those texts, okay? What else do we need? And then the only thing with the Safe Sport, the biggest thing is that all interactions are observable, okay, and interruptible. So somebody can come up and interrupt my conversation with an athlete at any time. They should always be able to interrupt, and it should always be observable. So that's just the Safe Sport rules. So that's what we follow. Expectations of parents. Email is the best form of communication to the coaches. That is on our website. You can find it under About and Coaches, and then all our emails are listed there. That is the best way to get in touch. The website. We are making a big push because now that we are a combined team and we're a much larger family, it's very hard for us to be able to do a 24 or 48-hour response when you have 400 plus families all emailing you about the same thing. So we're trying to make your life a little easier too. That is why we brought on Melissa. So she manages our website along with Myra, but all our information is there. So you can navigate whatever you need there, and my suggestion is always go there first to try to find your answer, and if you can't, then email us. Team Unify, On Deck, and Meet Mobile are what you should have on your phones. Okay, that's how you're going to get through meets. That's how you're going to see the attendance. We are making an effort, the coaching staff has agreed, we're making an effort this year to get attendance issues out on a monthly basis. So if your child has an attendance issue, because that's the other thing, remember with attendance, you dropped them off, you picked them up, their head is wet. What do you mean they didn't get in the pool? Yeah, that happens a lot. So if we're also not babysitters. We have to be on the pool deck coaching, so we can't always be out running around seeing. That's why we take attendance. And that's why you guys can see it. So yes, it is Big Brother. We're dealing with 18 and unders. It's just how it's going to go. If you know you dropped your kid off and it says that I didn't check them in, my first question to my kid is, where were you? Because they weren't at practice. So we're going to try to address those on a monthly basis so we can keep on top of those though. So you parents can do that on Team Unify and On Deck. Meet Mobile is for meets. That's where you normally would see their times when we're at a meet. Today is a time trial. It wasn't there. No parents on pool decks during practice. Okay, what we ask is that you stay off the pool deck. What we ask is, we have these great facilities with all this fitness. Use that time to go work out or do whatever, run your errands. I have a lot of parents that drop, then they run their errands, do whatever. That is fine. But if you do want to watch your kid, you need to do it off the pool deck, okay? I mean, I would love parents not to be around, and I'm going to tell you why. It's not because I don't like you. It's because it's extremely disruptive during practice to the children, especially 12 and unders. They get very distracted easily, and when the parent's there, it doesn't help us as coaches to deal with that distraction. So they are going to grow up, they're going to have to go off on their own. You don't go to school and hang out their school window in their classroom all day either. So just understand that it's a huge distraction when you're there. It's nothing against you guys and that we don't like you guys, but it does become a huge distraction. And then, the other thing is we get parents that are on the balcony and they're leaning over, talking to their children. So we just want to kind of keep away from that. Get your children. I already talked about time. So this goes in. I always say this to everybody, and this is also what I say to my athletes. I'm your enabler, not your motivator. It's just what I am here to give you everything you want to make you wherever you want to go in this sport. But I'm not going to pack your bag. I'm not going to beg you to come to practice. Those are not my job. And I also tell them, and I tell my 8 and unders from day one, and I tell their families, I do not want to see you carry their sweat bag in. I don't want to see you carrying any of that in. I don't want to see you put their cap and goggles on. Again, it's not because I don't like you. It's because we're trying to build life skills. And if they don't care, then what is that? what is that saying to them, right? So you are not their motivator either. What you are is you're their enabler. I'm asking you to drive them to practice. I'm asking you to get them here on time. I'm asking you to give them the bathing suit and the wet bag so that they can carry their equipment. But at some point, we want to start to give them the responsibility of getting here, showing up, and wanting to be involved, okay? So I say that from everything. You know, late arrivals we saw today. The meet was delayed because we had people that arrived late and did not sign up. And we had to work to get those kids in because we wanted the kids to swim. But you see how that affected the entire meet. And I'm going to tell you, when it's a real meet, you will be told to go home. They will not do anything for a late arrival. So today was a great, I wanted to do this for a couple reasons, but one of the main reasons is for all of us, coaches and parents, to kind of get a feel of how this happens and what is expected of us when we're going away to these things. So, you know, late arrivals also put a lot of stress on your children. You might in life just be a late person, and that's fine, but it does put a lot of stress on your children. So I cannot reiterate about just making sure that you're following the times that we're giving you guys to get here. The last thing on expectations of parents that I always say that I've said it to all my 8 and unders, is you parent, I'll coach. So what do I mean by that? I mean, yeah, some of you may have been swimmers, some of you may know what you're doing, and I would love to have a interview with you to see if you would want to come on and be a part-time coach. But until then, Gregory, did you win Gaga? No. Sorry. All right. So what I need and what all the coaches on this staff need is we need you to parent and let us coach. And I know that's hard. I'm a coach. I had a daughter in the sport. I never coached my daughter, literally. She was always with another coach. And I never talked about it unless she brought it up. We never talked about it. Okay, what did I do? She had a bad race, and I'm crying up now because I'm a parent, and she was crying, and she would hold it in for her coach. She would never cry in front of her coach. She would just be there, and the coach is kind of funny. It's Coach Eric, if any of you guys know. And he likes to play with people sometimes, and so he'd be like just talking, and then she'd come over and she'd like, I didn't think he was ever going to shut up, and I just wanted to cry. And so my job at that point, and this has happened on the pool deck because I'm the head coach, right? Embrace her, hug her, it's going to be okay. I didn't give her advice about her race. Did I watch her race? Absolutely. But that's not what she needed from me, right? She needed me to give her pats on the back and high fives when she did a great job, and she needed to be able to come to me when she didn't do well and she was crying and upset and get a big hug. So I just want you guys to do that part for me because it makes my job and my coach's job a lot easier if we don't have to do both parts. Because there are times where I have parents coaching children and I literally have to be the parent now because all they want is a hug. That's all they want. So that's all I ask from you guys is to do that. The last one, of course, is volunteering. We saw today how meets kind of run, right? I know a lot of you have not been in swimming world. You don't really know what this means. It takes a lot of people to run a meet. If we don't run meets, your kids do not swim. End of discussion. There is no way I can get around this. This is not my rule. This is swimming in general. So volunteering is really important. We made a big push with it last year, but just getting up there and watching, it's not soccer. I don't know what to tell you guys. It's not lacrosse. It's not, I used to cry every time I went to my daughter's best friend's softball games, and I was like, wait a minute. I can just sit right here in this chair? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, no. Like, I got to be doing something. So as a parent, I always ran the table. It was my safe space. It was my spot I like to work. I know a lot of you can understand now. You were up there. It was hot, and it was sweaty. Getting down on the pool deck and doing hospitality or doing things like that will give you a chance to not only watch your kid, but be away from the crowds and all that. So our volunteer, we're kind of going through and seeing if we still need to tweak it. Be patient. We're still a big team. We're still trying to figure this out. But the one thing that will never change, no matter what size team we are, is we need volunteers. Okay, so, and I always say, if your kid wants to do this and gives a crap, then then show them. And that's what's important for them, because without those meets and without those qualifying times, again, we don't get to this. So, ooh, I'm falling over things. Okay, expectations of the swimmers, 13 and over swimmers. Anyone here with a 13 and over swimmer, their email should be in your Team U account as a verified person, because we are going to start to move the 13 and overs to that responsibility of reading those emails and signing up for their meets, okay? 12 and under, mom, dad, you're going to still help with them that, but 13 and overs, they should be doing all that. My daughter signed herself for every single meet that she ever did. No, I didn't give her the password to TU because that would have been nutty and crazy. However, I would open it up for her, she would go in, and she would declare herself and put down what she wanted to swim. Practice dry land meets, show up before you start, not at the start. So we give you start times, we do all the math for you, we make it really easy, but we do not, when the meet starts at 9 o'clock, that doesn't mean you show up at 9 o'clock. Okay, you need, and when warm-up says it starts at 9 o'clock, you don't show up at 9 o'clock. You should be there 10 to 15 minutes. Actually, we build in about 15 to 20 for meets beforehand, okay? Again, I can't reiterate about that. Respect and trust in both your coaches and your teammates. That's what the expectation for these swimmers are, is that they're respecting and they're trusting us. You know, I had a quote here that I came up with my group. You cannot merely expect culture to be a natural occurrence. It has to be made a part of your everyday routine. So this is something that I talk to the kids a lot about, is just creating these habits and growing that. You know, the last part of this is kind of what I go over with the kids on attitudes and behaviors, and it's kind of the same thing that rolls into families and parents. These are not mine. These are my kids. And Senior 1 developed these last year, and this is what their expectation of what their group and what our swimmers on our team should be doing, and the expectations of what parents and everybody involved in their sport. Their attitudes, I thought these were great. These are remarkable. Positive or neutral. We make a choice to be negative, just like you do to be positive. If you can't be positive and you can't be negative, be neutral. You don't need to be negative. Showing up both mentally and physically. That was astounding, right? Yeah, we swim laps in a pool, but there are times when you got to turn your brain on, right? And everybody is in this together. We can support each other. This is what the kids are saying. If we as adults can't show up and be there to support them, I have issues with that. So I don't think we're going to have a huge problem this year, but like, this is what the kids are expecting and want from themselves in a group. Behaviors, energy, effort, and attitude can come every day. They, you know, with that, they know that they're not going to come here and be on the highest every day, but they can bring something every day. Listen when the coach is speaking, supporting teammates. Here we go with the family again. Yes, they're looking in the world of their lens, and they're supporting their teammates, but in the bigger lens, our team is much bigger, and we need to be supportive of everybody. Accountability, holding teammates to do the work and not cutting corners. So if our kids are expecting that of themselves, the least we can do as adults is be good role models and show that too, because that's what they want from their team. That's their words, not my words. So, and the reason I did that is because I do think it sticks when it comes from them. I can dictate what I want from them. They're not going to do it, right? They need to own it, and they need to do it. So that's all I'm asking. That's pretty much all. Like I said, most of the stuff I already took a good amount of time. Everything is on our website. I'm going to try. We understand there's a lot of new parents. We're going to either try to hold a new parent meeting or do something. Some of the 12 and under coaches have already had meetings for everybody. There's a lot, I'm not going to lie, learning how to sign up for a meet, learning how to navigate TU. We are going to work on something and get that information out as well, but I'm not going to hold everybody to that. Do we have any questions for anybody, for me? No? So again, thank you everybody for going. I thought this was great. I mean, yes. So one of the things that this helped us today is, we'll tweak some things for next year, but it was great to get those 12 and unders in the water, get them racing before they have to actually do it at a real race, and then they get really upset. And then the other thing that I'm a big fan of is mixing my 13 and overs with the little kids. So it was kind of nice to walk behind the block and see my older kids playing around with the little kids and like joking with them and high-fiving them and doing things like that. So I think that's great because we want to keep the little ones involved in our sport and keep growing up that path. So, and then the other thing is for you parents, especially parents that haven't been involved with meets, you kind of saw how this kind of rolls. So it helps us, and then it helped the coaches kind of really see where we need to put our focus before our first real meets. So thank you guys for coming. I think the Kona truck was a huge hit, so that was good. And I can't wait to see everybody on the pool deck. All right.